अस्सलाम वालेकुम, आप देख रहे हैं प्रोग्राम न्यूज़ फीड। मैं हूं मुर्तज़ा डार। प्रोग्राम में आज हम बात करेंगे ब्रॉडशीट के हवाले से। ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी के सीईओ ने हाल ही में एक इंटरव्यू दिया है यूट्यूब चैनल पे, जिसके दिए जाने के बाद मुख्तलिफ अखबारात में और टीवी चैनल्स पे उसकी बाज़गश्त हुई और फिर मुख्तलिफ टीवी चैनल्स पे सीईओ जो थे ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी के, उन्होंने अपीयर हुए और उन्होंने बाकी जगह भी इंटरव्यूज़ दिए। ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी के सीईओ की जो चार्ट शीट है बहुत लंबी है। उनका कहना यह है कि 2000 में मेरे साथ, हमारी कंपनी के साथ मुआहदा किया गया और 2003 में वो मुआहदा जो है वो ख़त्म कर दिया गया और अनलॉफुली ख़त्म किया गया। जो पैसे हमें तय किए गए थे वो पैसे दिए ही नहीं गए। लेकिन आज भी वो कहते हैं कि मैं इस हुकूमत के लिए, जो इमरान खान की, उसके लिए काम करने के लिए तैयार हूँ। पिछले पैसे वो माफ़ करने के लिए भी तैयार हैं। उनका कहना यह है कि जो $1 बिलियन की उन्होंने निशानदेही की है, $1 बिलियन की, वो उसको रिकवर भी करा सकते हैं। वो किसके हैं वो उन्होंने सीधा राज में रखा है। इस हवाले से भी आज के प्रोग्राम में हम गुफ्तगू करेंगे और साथ ही साथ हम ये भी जानने की कोशिश करेंगे जो 200 लोगों की लिस्ट उनको जनरल परवेज़ मुशर्रफ ने उस वक्त दी थी, जिसमें बहुत सारी कंपनीज, पॉलिटिशियंस, बिजनेसमैन, बहुत सारे नाम शामिल थे। उन सब के बारे में क्या सूरत हाल बनी? क्या ये सिर्फ इन्वेस्टिगेशन नवाज शरीफ के खिलाफ थी उन्होंने जो प्राइमरीली की, या बाकी लोगों के खिलाफ भी अगर की तो उसके बारे में क्या बना? ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी बनी कब? ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी के एसेट्स क्या हैं? ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी के बैजेस पर कौन कौन सी बड़ी सक्सेसफुल स्टोरीज हैं? इसके हवाले से भी बात करेंगे और साथ ही साथ ये जानने की भी आज कोशिश करेंगे कि इस कंपनी ने क्या स्पेसिफिकली सिर्फ पाकिस्तान के हवाले से काम किया, और अगर किया तो क्या सिर्फ उसी टेन्योर में किया या उसके बाद भी किया। 2003 में इस कंपनी के साथ मुआहदा पाकिस्तान का ख़त्म हो गया, जो ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी के सीईओ का कहना है। 2003 से 2009 तक, इन 6 सालों में इस कंपनी के सीईओ ने क्या किया, क्यों कानून का रास्ता इख्तियार नहीं किया? ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी के सीईओ ने मीडिया पे आज आने की जो है वो क्यों जहमत की? इससे पहले इतने साल, बल्कि गालिबन 1, 1.5, 2.5 तक वो टेलीविज़न पर नहीं आए, अब उनको आने की क्यों ज़रूरत पेश आई? इस हवाले से भी आज के प्रोग्राम में हम बात करेंगे। प्रोग्राम में हमें ज्वाइन करेंगे खावे मूसफ़ी, सीईओ ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी। उनसे गुफ्तगू का बाकायदा आगाज़ करेंगे, लेकिन उससे कबल एक मुख्तसर सी ब्रेकर्स की जाने पड़ते हैं। वेलकम बैक आफ्टर द ब्रेक। प्रोग्राम में हमें ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं खावे मुसावी, सीईओ हैं ये ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी के। सो मिस्टर मुसावी, माय फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू यू इज दैट there's an understanding here in Pakistan. Let me be very open with you on this interview because there are a series of interviews that you've given recently, right? So there's an understanding that there's some pressure at some point which you want to put on the current government in order to, do another contract with you, in the lieu of releasing your previous amount or recovering $1 billion that you have told them right now, and to get your share. How would you counter this narrative that you're not building any pressure on the government but you're sincere with the Pakistanis?
Well, people are free to develop any narrative they want. I'm certainly not aware of any pressure to have another contract with the government of Pakistan. Frankly, from what I've learned of dealing with the governments of Pakistan in the past, it's the last thing I want. But if the government of Pakistan wants to talk to me because they now accept the credibility of what I've said as found by the judge in the High Court in London, they're free to come. I'm happy to talk to anyone who's sincere about finding the plunder, the gang rape of the assets of the Pakistani people by the plutocracy, by the thieving oligarchy that has stolen the wealth of the people of Pakistan over the last 70-something years. I'm ready to talk, but there's 198 other members of the United Nations. Most of them would like to hire the services of people who can do human rights work and find stolen assets. So Pakistan is not the only country. I feel a certain loyalty to the people of Pakistan because I've learned over the last 20 years how badly they've been treated by the kleptomanic oligarchy that has been misruling them over all these years. There is no pressure on my part on anybody. I'd be the last person to wish to foist any contract on anyone. Thank you very much. I had one contract and I saw the way it was being handled by the counterparty, which was the government of Pakistan and NAB, and the judge agreed with me. So stop this nonsense about the narrative. The narrative is a false one.
Right, you reject that. Okay, so help us understand more about the the broadsheet itself as an organization, as a company, because people here right now, they're listening to you and whatever you've been saying in different interviews. So the basic question that arises is they don't know much about broadsheet, right? So help us understand what really broadsheet is, when it was established, and what are the success stories that you guys have on your badges, so people can relate that, look, this is what they've done in this entire tenure. So can you help us understand more about broadsheet?
Yes, well, I think they should read the judgment of the judge. I'm not going to sing the praises of broadsheet. Broadsheet's in liquidation, and it's a misnomer to call me the chief executive officer of the company, since the company is in liquidation thanks to the fraud that was perpetrated upon it by NAB and the government of Pakistan. And it's not my allegation, it's the finding of the court. The judge found that the government of Pakistan conspired to defraud broadsheet. It's in his judgment. It's in the last page. So I don't have to make any representations on behalf of broadsheet. The reality is broadsheet was established in good faith, along with the International Asset Recovery, the two companies that were set up in order to pursue the assets, the stolen, ill-gotten assets of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and his coterie, and the other one, the previous Prime Minister and the later President of Pakistan, Mrs. Bhutto, Prime Minister, and Asif Zardari as the President, and they performed so credibly that the judge said effectively that broadsheet was too effective, and that's why it threatened the interests of very powerful people.
Right. So I am coming to that point. I'm going to begin the conversation from here as well. I was basically trying to take you back to where this whole started. The basic question which comes to in every Pakistani's mind, that what is broadsheet, what this company is doing, since when this was established, who established it, who's running it, stuff like this, and what are the success stories that they have done, like people can relate to this. So this is just a basic question they want to know about this company only. Can you help us understand about,
Yes.
Can you broaden our version about broadsheet?
Well, broadsheet was established for the sole purpose of going after the assets of the
When
family.
was this established?
In 2000, with the purpose of it. Well, look, the government of Pakistan approached us. We didn't approach the government of Pakistan.
No, my point is that it was established in 2000, and the government of Pakistan approached you in the same year, right? That's what you're saying.
They approached us as individuals, not as a company.
Right.
We had a reputation. I was teaching I was running a set of seminars on international human rights and remedies in international human rights at Oxford University. And as you know, corruption is one of the major one of the problems that human rights face.
That I understand. I just want to understand for myself, because you were teaching somewhere at some university, right? You didn't have that company at that point of time. So why would...
I was not teaching somewhere at some university. I was running a human rights seminar at the University of Oxford.
Right, correct. My bad.
It is pinnacle. It's the pinnacle of the law, the University of Oxford. So please, let's have some respect for institutions that have earned.
I do have, my bad. I apologize for that, but
not earned its reputation, or rather, it has earned its
correct.
reputation.
Okay, so sir,
as a fraud that masquerades as an accountability bureau. Oxford University has earned its reputation, and you can see one of the vaccines that's going to save the world has come from Oxford University. So please, can we respect the English language when we're asking questions? And if we're going to use the English language, let's show some regard for the meaning of words. I wasn't teaching at some university. I was running, along with colleagues, a seminar on remedies in international human rights. And I was an indefatigable fighter against corruption. 10 years before we signed this contract with NAB, I'd fought the government of Mexico.
Right.
I'd exposed the biggest corruption in the history of Mexico, for which I had armed police protection around the clock in Oxford because of what I'd done. So that reputation led the government of Pakistan to say, this man is incorruptible, let's try and do it. I've been beaten up, I've been tortured, I've been thrown into prison, I've been attempted kidnaps, and so the government of Pakistan knew they were coming to the right people. If they hired people to go and fight corruption and find stolen money, they knew that I was unbribable.
Right.
That's what.
And this was basically about your reputation which I understand are of all this. So my question goes back to same position, that they contracted with you, not with the company Broadsheet, right? That's what I'm getting out of it. And you established a company just to start the investigation here in Pakistan, which was given to you by the government at that time. Is this the way this all started?
I had many other companies, but this company was exclusively, wanted to keep it completely exclusive for focus on the last prime minister, the one that General Musharraf removed. And the other company was going to focus on the other prime minister who'd been defeated in the elections or been removed, Mrs. Bhutto. So there are two companies set up in order to find the stolen assets of the last two prime ministers. Yes.
Right. Okay, sir. So let's go to whatever has happened after 2001 and onward. I've been watching your interviews with YouTube channels and some other TV channels. You have spoken a lot about Nawaz Sharif and the corruption that they have done. I will come to that in a bit, but help me understand, is there any specific investigations, findings on Zardari and his government, Benazir and her government at that time, or was just this centric to Nawaz Sharif only?
No, a broadsheet was focused on the kith and kin, alter egos, and the coterie around Nawaz Sharif. International asset recovery was focused on late Mrs. Bhutto, Asif Zardari, and the coterie around that.
Right. So did you find anything on Asif Zardari's?
Well, you know the litigation in Geneva, you know the court decisions there. We found that, of course, the Rockwood estate, that huge palatial home in Surrey, we seized it, we froze it, we were about to sell it, and you know what happened. If the people of Pakistan want to know the nature of the governments and the elites that have been running the country up to this last present government, which I'm not in a position to pass judgment on, the fraud and the corruption and the crooks, the mafias that have been running Pakistan, look at the Rockwood estate. It was bought with stolen money, and look who owns it today. We froze the assets. We were in the process of selling it to restore the money back to the people of Pakistan, and you know what happened. We were sacked, and the government of Pakistan handed over back to him.
Right. गुफ्तगू को मजीद आगे बढ़ाएंगे. हमारे साथ ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी के CEO कावे मूसवी साहब मौजूद हैं. अभी प्रोग्राम में वक्त एक ब्रेक की जाने पड़ते हैं. वेलकम बैक आफ्टर द ब्रेक. गुफ्तगू को मजीद आगे बढ़ाएंगे. CEO ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी कावे मूसवी हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं. उनसे गुफ्तगू को मजीद आगे बढ़ाते हैं. सर, you being the head of Broadsheet, I want you to keep this aside for a moment. Being an academic person, a literary person, I want you to answer me a question. That why would someone hire someone and then fire someone and fire the person based on the person is working really good? This is exactly what happened with you, right?
Correct.
Why would someone do that?
Because we were working too good. We were finding...
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I mean, if I hire an employee and the person is working really good, why would I fire the person person is working?
Because the employer happens to be corrupt. The employer happens to be taking the position that...
But you did praise NAP at that time, General Amjad, right?
Sorry?
You did praise General Amjad at that time.
General Amjad didn't fire us. General Amjad was a model of integrity. And I suggest the reason why General Amjad left was removed was the same reason that Broadsheet was removed. The reason why Farooq Adam Khan was removed was the same reason that Broadsheet was removed. And I think one word suffices the intelligent. You should understand what I'm saying. But
right.
If you wanted me to spell it out, I'm happy to spell it out. General Amjad said to the judge in court, he could not continue to pretend that he was fighting corruption. At every corner he was stopped, he was prevented. We could not pretend that we were doing, but we were pursuing this. We came close to money. Every time we froze an account, we found that information had been leaked by officers at NAB to the target, to the thief. Basically, we had foxes looking after the chickens. That's what NAB was.
Right, okay. Moving ahead. In 2003, right, your contract was forcefully, violated, and you guys were off from that contract. The government at that time took that decision. You to my understanding, you reached the court, you filed a petition in 2009. So there's this gap of 6 years, to my understanding. What, held you for like 6 years and, approaching the legal option after 6 years? I mean, what was the reason and what did you do in this all time?
Well, we hired the law firm of Hunter and Williams, and we were gathering the evidence and putting it together. And NAB approached us and they said, let's settle this thing. We said, let's talk. And in 2007, we settled IAR, but I told Mr. International Asset Recovery, we settled that, but I told in explicit and clear terms to Mr. Amer Bilal Sufi that Broadsheet was not in a position to settle because it'd been liquidated, it's gone into bankruptcy as a result of the malfeasance and the fraud perpetrated upon it by the government of Pakistan. And so we need to restore it to the register. And I was quite clear. I told Sufi, we can't deal with you on Broadsheet. And yet he went and dealt with Jerry James on the basis of documents which I invite your television company to ask the NAB to give to you. A first-year law student would see that's a fraudulent agreement. There are gaps in the sentences that are incomplete in their contracts. There are companies that didn't ever exist. Broadsheet was a company in the Isle of Man, and there are references there to Broadsheet Gibraltar, Steeplechase, Colorado. If Amer Bilal Sufi had been serious, he would have looked at that and said, I've been told by Mr. Musavi that Broadsheet doesn't exist, and yet I've come here to deal with a bunch of crooks who are telling me that this is Broadsheet. I should ask the basic question, is this the same Broadsheet that I've been instructed to come and settle? So the answer to your question is, NAB told us that, yes, as soon as we were ready to begin, they came and said, no, let's settle. They sent Sufi over, we sat with him, we settled IAR, it was a small matter, and we thought we'll cut a deal, and they made a payment and we called it a day. But the real meat was in Broadsheet, because that's the one.
Right. This is what you guys did in 2007, right, sir? That's what you said?
That was settled in 2007, yes.
7, right. So the contract violated in 2003. Again, these 4 years, what you guys were doing in these 4 years just to, approach?
No, the contract was ended at the end of 28th of October 2003.
Right. And
of 2003, we were engaged in some discussions. General Hafiz came over, and I asked General Hafiz, I said, if you think the contract has been lawfully terminated, why have you come 4,000 miles from Pakistan? Why don't you just write a letter and call it a day? I put it to you, you're here because you know what you've done is unlawful. I put it to you, you're here because you know that you're sacking these companies because they're coming too close to the stolen money of the people who are powerful in Pakistan. Of course, he said, I'm willing to give you £500,000 to go away. I said, given what we've found, we owed at least £50 million. So it's missing 2 zeros.
So did you tell someone here in Pakistan about this?
Sorry?
Did you tell someone here in Pakistan about this?
I told General Hafiz to his face at the office of General Friedman.
Right. Okay. Moving ahead. There's also... Okay, please go ahead.
No, your question, what were you doing between 2003?
Yes.
In fact, what were you doing between 2004 and 2007? That's what you're asking.
Yes.
Beginning of 2004 and the middle of 2007. In the middle of 2006, we were told, let's talk. And we said, fine, let's talk. It took them another year or so to get their act together, and they came and they settled with one, and they engaged in the sham that Sir Anthony Evans found that it was a conspiracy to defraud. It was your government at the time and your NAB at the time engaged in what a High Court judge in London called a conspiracy to defraud. You may wish to reflect upon that.
Right. Sir, what made you come and talk to media so extensively and massively right now? I mean, you never realized and thought about, doing this, way, in 2003, 5, 6, 7, or whenever this was prior to the litigation time?
I didn't come to talk to the media. The media came to talk to me.
Okay, let's put it this way.
The media came to talk to me, and I feel an obligation because my employers are the people of Pakistan. My employers were not NAB. My employers were not the government of Pakistan. Certainly not the thieves masquerading as an accountability bureau. My employers were the people of Pakistan. And given that the people of Pakistan were my employers, I think I had a duty of care to the people of Pakistan, my true employers,
right,
to tell them the reality.
Have you ever visited Pakistan, sir?
It would be very unsafe for me to visit Pakistan. I am one. highly wanted by some very, very dangerous people in Pakistan because I've exposed the criminal character of those people. And
Right.
certainly I'm even more wanted by the next door neighbor government of Iran.
So-
Look at my record vis-a-vis the government of Iran. I am the person who arrested one of the criminals of the government of Iran in Sweden. Amin Nouri was arrested by me in last November.
What was his
By
name, sir?
intervention of the war crimes unit of the Swedish police arrested him on my complaint. So you can imagine it's not very safe.
What was the name, sir? The person you've just mentioned, the name of the person, the Swedish person?
Why don't you Google it? Iranian criminal, it's Mr. Hamid Nouri,
Okay.
Nouri. It was me who arrested him. Look at the article in the Washington Post at the time and in the Times and various other things. So the reason why I'm not in that region is because I have been fighting the criminal regime in Iran and the criminal crooks who've been running Pakistan for a very, very long time.
So,
At least, at long last, I see some light in Pakistan with the government of Imran Khan.
गुफ्तगू को मजीद आगे बढ़ाएंगे. हमारे साथ ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी के CEO कावे मूसवी साहब मौजूद हैं. अभी प्रोग्राम में वक्त एक ब्रेक की जाने पड़ते हैं. वेलकम बैक आफ्टर द ब्रेक. गुफ्तगू को मजीद आगे बढ़ाएंगे. CEO ब्रॉडशीट कंपनी कावे मूसवी हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं. उनसे गुफ्तगू को मजीद आगे बढ़ाते हैं. Did you ever get any chance to speak to Imran Khan or and do any meeting via Zoom or Skype, because you said you have never been to Pakistan?
It's a confidential matter that I'm not willing to discuss.
Right. And why do you think you are willing to work with Imran Khan, the premier of the same country where you have been, ditched once? Why would you do that?
What makes you think I'm willing to do that?
Yes.
What makes you think that?
That's what I'm asking to you.
Well, I mean, what led you to believe that I was willing to?
Because you just said that I had a word with the government in some other interview and said I'm willing to work for Imran Khan, and for this government one more time I've been offered a contract as well.
Please don't misquote me. What I said is if the government.
Okay, let's put it this way. I just said this. If you get a chance, you've been contacted by the government that you said, again, one more time, and in which you said that you had this thing in your mind that you will recover that 1 billion, which you have mentioned, and you will get your share and forget the previous money. I've seen one of the interviews with some other Pakistani journalists as well. So why would you come and work again for the same country?
If I have nothing against Pakistan. I have something seriously against NAB as it then was, and the governments of Pakistan as they were. Any government, by the pressure of its own people, eventually ends up reforming itself. I'm more than happy to work with them. Now, in the case of this government, when we had intelligence that $1 billion was transferred on behalf of the Sharifs, we wanted to investigate that. We alerted the previous government of Pakistan. Our lawyers wrote to them, and they did nothing. The government of Pakistan did nothing, absolutely nothing. When I met Shahzad Akbar in London, I told him about it. He did absolutely nothing. So it somewhat undermined my confidence that I'm going to be dealing with a new set of people. Yet the ferocity with which they have now picked up their baton and are running with it, it gives me the impression that the government of Pakistan might be at last serious in pursuing this. And if they are, there are certain protocols that we have to adhere to. Namely, they have to obey the court order. The court has ordered them to pay me, and they have not. So I had to move in and seize Pakistani assets. I'm sorry that they had to be like that. And those assets have not come from the people of Pakistan. They've not come from the Pakistani taxpayer. The biggest proof that NAB is a fraud is the claim that this is coming from the taxpayer in Pakistan. If NAB had done its job, the money in NAB would be the money that they recovered from thieves. So therefore, they'd be paying me my fees from the money that I had recovered from the pockets of thieves, money that had left Pakistan forever, but thanks to my efforts, it was brought back to NAB. So the idea that I'm asking, and this foolish man who masquerades as a minister in the government of Pakistan, this Shahzad Akbar, say using the word skimming, which is a libelous assertion that he's not even aware that he's libeling me. You know, liars don't have much memory. So he should know the contradiction of what he's saying. If NAB is paying me, then it's paying me out of money that has come from the pockets of thieves. Now, if the government of Pakistan are willing to adhere to protocols that are necessary and proved to be useful by time-honored procedures, and that's if they're prepared to obey court orders, for start, pay us what they owe us, what the court said they owe us. They owe us another $2 million, and if they pay that today, and if they are prepared to adhere to the protocols that are required, namely the targets that they give us are irremovable. They can't remove them ever again from the contract. And if we get close to the money, they're not going to alert the thieves that we've got close to the money. Then yeah, because don't forget, I'm trying to help and serve the people of Pakistan.
Right.
My real masters are my real employers.
Right, sir. Last question to you. You've mentioned about 1 billion corruption, and you have this capacity that you said you can bring back to the country. You would not name the person. I know I've seen your interviews, and I would not ask you. Do you mind me asking if you can help us understand the person or the company is owned by a businessman, is owned by any politician, or any clue you can give us, basically?
Yes. I can't say too much because I don't want them to get close to knowing that I know where the money is, but I can say this. It is illicit money. It's stolen money. They shouldn't be in possession of it. They shouldn't have it. It belongs to the people of Pakistan. And I'm saddened by the fact that it's over 3 years since I alerted the government of Pakistan this, and they did nothing about it. And then when the new government came and this fool Shahzad Akbar came over to see me in London, I told him about it, and he did nothing about it. Now, don't let anybody accuse me of not providing the evidence. My lawyers have written, I think it's a 10-page letter to the government of Pakistan. It's on the record.
Why do you think, sir, you've been so close to these kind of people who've been doing corruption? Why you think you've nominated and you've told that this 1 billion is something that I can recover, and this is the person who has done this? Why they're not doing this? I mean, what is holding them back?
It's a question you should ask them, right?
I will. I just want to get your analysis. You're analyzing really well, so I just want to take your opinion on that.
Because the corrupt people in NAB and the previous governments, they were hoping to make a deal with the thieves. Give me some of this money and I'll make sure this goes away. Well, what do they do with... They alerted Lodi when we were about to arrest him in Monaco. Why did they do that? Why do you think they did that? Because there was money in it. They took Sherpa off the list. Why do you think they did that? Because there was money in it. They sabotaged our efforts at going after half a dozen other people. Why do you think they did that? Because our efforts were getting close, and they would tip them off that we are getting close to the money, and the motive was money. They say money is the root of all evil. In this case, money goes a long way to explain the failure of NAB to carry out instructions back when General Musharraf set it up. And at the Oxford Union, he came and he told me, I told them to go and nab them. Well, it didn't exactly work out like that. His excuse at the time was the court ordered us to hold elections, and we did, and all the crooks and the thieves were re-elected again. So they gutted NAB.
Right.
Whether that's a full explanation or not, I know not. But what I do know is NAB was a den of thieves masquerading as an accountability bureau, and I'm hoping against hope that Imran Khan is going to be able to sort this out and clean that. I'm hoping. I'm optimistic.
Right.
I'm irrepressible, and I'm irrepressible optimist. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in this business of going after dangerous thieves. This is a mafia. If Don Corleone was in power in Pakistan, it wouldn't look too different, as the Supreme Court said about Nawaz Sharif. If you read the judgment of the Supreme Court when they threw him out, they said in the novel 1960s novel Mario Puzo's Godfather, we are reminded. And who am I to second guess the Supreme Court of?
Right. Sir, it's a very last question at the very last moment. What made you, become so furious about Nawaz Sharif only? I mean, you had the list of like 200 people, right, at early 2000s. Why Nawaz Sharif? I mean, there's only Nawaz Sharif you've been speaking about and around. Why? I mean, the rest are, less than him, or is there something else?
No, that's what your words. Those are my words. I never said I was furious about Nawaz Sharif. You said that.
No. I said that. I'm owning this. I've felt this. I've observed this. That in your interviews, you've only spoken, or you've massively spoken about Nawaz Sharif. Is there any specific thing, or is there any certain thing about Nawaz Sharif that you would like to discuss, mention here right now, or it's just my understanding?
I have nothing against Mr. Nawaz Sharif,
right,
except that he has been accused, and we believe we have established that he's been pilfering the wealth of the people of Pakistan. Simple. I've got nothing against Mr. Nawaz Sharif personally, not at all.
Along with the rest of 199 that you have in your list, right?
The reason why you've spoken about Sharif is because you people at the press keep asking me about Nawaz Sharif. You asked me about someone else, I would have talked about someone else. But the reality is we were not given a chance to investigate many other people. We were stabbed in the back by NAB.
Right.
The morning after General Amjad was stabbed in the back by NAB and the powers that be. The morning after Farooq Adam Khan was stabbed in the back. So I can't talk about the other people because I wasn't given the chance to continue to investigate them.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. We had Mr. Khabib Musavi with us, CEO from Broadsheet Company. बहुत शुक्रिया आपके वक्त का. अभी प्रोग्राम में वक्त एक ब्रेक की जाने पड़ते हैं. वेलकम बैक. आफ्टर द ब्रेक प्रोग्राम में शामिल करेंगे उसामा सती जुडिशल इंक्वायरी रिपोर्ट, जिसमें यह कहा गया है कि अफसरान ने वकुए को छुपाने की कोशिश की, वकुए को डकैती बनाने की कोशिश की गई, रेस्क्यू वाली गाड़ी को गलत लोकेशन बताई जाती रही, 22 गोलियों की बौछार की गई, 4 से ज़ायद एहलकारों ने गोलियां मारी, 72 घंटे बाद फोरेंसिक के लिए भेजा गया, ये रिपोर्ट कहती है. इस हवाले से हम बात करेंगे. प्रोग्राम में हमें ज्वाइन करें जुल्फ़िकार चीमा साहब, साबिक़ हैं पाकिस्तान पुलिस के मुख्तलिफ आला ओहदों पर फाइज रहे हैं. वेलकम टू द शो चीमा साहब. सर, ये बताइएगा, जो उसामा सती जुडिशल इंक्वायरी की रिपोर्ट है, आप साबिक़ पुलिस केस के आईजी रहे हैं, बड़े आला मनसब ओहदों पर फाइज रहे हैं, आप सर इस रिपोर्ट से सेटिस्फाइड हैं?
देखें, सबसे पहली बात तो यह है, इंसाफ का ये तकाजा है और चारों सूबों में यही होता है कि जब भी पुलिस के हाथों या इवन पुलिस कस्टडी में अगर किसी शख्स की डेथ होती है तो उसकी इंक्वायरी एक प्रॉपर अदालती अफसर करता है. जुडिशल इंक्वायरी से मुराद ये है कि इंक्वायरी सेशन जज या एडिशनल सेशन जज रैंक का कोई ऑफिसर करे, जिसका एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव कंट्रोल हाई कोर्ट के पास है. ये एडीसी ने इंक्वायरी की है, इसको जुडिशल इंक्वायरी नहीं कहा जा सकता. और उसामा के वालिदैन ने, उसके वरसा ने भी यही मुतालबा किया था और अब भी वो यही मुतालबा कर रहे हैं. आप मेरी बात समझ रहे हैं?
जी, मैं समझ रहा हूँ की बात.
हाँ, जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी से मुराद है एडीसी. तो आप जानते हैं कि एडीसी को तो इंटीरियर मिनिस्ट्री मुकर्रर करती है, वो कमिश्नर के अंडर है, कमिश्नर इंटीरियर मिनिस्टर के अंडर है. तो इसका मतलब है कि जी वो जो चाहें लिखवा लें? नहीं, वो इसकी इंक्वायरी होनी चाहिए. प्रॉपर जुडिशियल ऑफिसर, सेशन जज या एडिशनल सेशन जज रैंक का कोई ऑफिसर करे, या फिर हाई कोर्ट के जज साहब, वो चीफ जस्टिस को लिखा जाए, वो हाई कोर्ट के जज को मुकर्रर करें या सेशन जज को मुकर्रर करें. ठीक हो गया?
ठीक.
अच्छा, इस सिलसिले में मैं जब ये इंतहाई भयानक वाकया दरिंदगी का, बर्बरियत का जब ये हुआ था, उस वक्त भी मुझे कई चैनल्स ने पूछा था और मैंने उस वक्त भी ये कहा था कि देखें, इस तरह नाकों पे जिन लोगों को, जिन पुलिस मुलाजमीन को डिप्लॉय किया जाता है, उनकी एक तो मुस्तकिल मॉनिटरिंग होनी चाहिए, सबसे पहले चेकिंग होनी चाहिए, स्क्रूटनी होनी चाहिए, और उनमें से ये देखा जाना चाहिए, इंश्योर किया जाना चाहिए कि कोई शख्स ऐसा ना हो जो सैडिस्ट हो, जो नफ्सियाती मरीज हो, जो ट्रिगर हैप्पी हो, जिसके घर में झगड़े हों. सो अगर इस तरह का कोई एबनॉर्मल शख्स है तो उसको किसी सूरत उसके हाथ में वेपन नहीं होना.
लेकिन
चाहिए.
सर, ये तो बात इससे ज्यादा लगती है. इसमें तो रिपोर्ट ये कह रही है कि 4 से ज्यादा एहलकारों ने गोलियां मारी. ये तो यूं लगता है ये कोई पर्दादारी तो नहीं, किसी चीज की कोई जाती कोई रंजिश तो नहीं थी किसी बात की.
मतलब है कि वो तो बहरहाल देखें, मैं तो ये कहूंगा अभी भी اس کے والدین ابھی بھی کہہ رہے ہیں کہ جی پراپر ہائی کورٹ کے جج کریں یا پراپر جوڈیشل انکوائری ہو. ساری ڈیٹیلز تو اس میں آئیں گی. اور دوسرا یہ ہے جو سب سے امپورٹنٹ چیزیں ہیں, دیکھیں کسی بھی جگہ پولیس افسران جو ہیں وہ دیکھ بھال کے لگانا چاہیے. یہ پرائم منسٹر اور چیف منسٹروں کا کی یہ فرض ہے اور یہ آئین کی ذمہ داری ہے, جو انہوں نے اوتھ اٹھایا اس کی ذمہ داری ہے کہ وہ یہ دیکھیں کہ اس کو ہم اسلام آباد کا آئی جی لگائیں جس کا دامن صاف ہو, جو ایماندار ہو اور اس پہ کوئی کسی قسم کا داغ نہ ہو. نمبر 2, پولیس کی جو ٹریننگ ہے وہ سب سے کمزور پہلو ہے. ٹریننگ بہت اس پہ جس چیز کو بالکل نگلیکٹ کیا جاتا ہے وہ انٹیگریٹی ہے اور وہ عام شخص کی اہمیت ہے. بہت زیادہ عام آدمی کی اہمیت, اس کے جان اور مال کا تقدس کے بارے میں ٹریننگ اداروں میں, ٹریننگ انسٹیٹیوشن میں ان کو سینسٹائز کرنے کی ضرورت ہے. اور آخری بات یہ ہے کہ یہ بہرحال میں ایکنالج کروں گا کہ اب جو اسلام آباد کا آئی جی لگایا ہے وہ ایک ویل ریپیوٹیڈ آفیسر ہے. یہ کے پی میں خیبر پختونخوا میں تعینات تھے, وہاں سے آیا ہے اور یہ اچھی شخصیت کا افسر ہے,
اچھی جو ہے وہ شخصیت کے مالک ہے. بہت شکریہ ذوالفقار چنگا ہمارے ساتھ موجود تھے, سابق آئی جی رہے ہیں پاکستان پولیس کے, مختلف عہدوں پر فائز رہے ہیں. بہت شکریہ آپ کے وقت. پروگرام کا وقت ختم ہو چاہتا ہے. آپ سے انشاءاللہ کمنگ ویک ضرور ملاقات ہوگی. اپنا خیال رکھیے گا. اللہ حافظ.